Dan Savage has been in the news lately for a presentation he made about the Bible and homosexuality and bullying. I believe bullying is wrong, but I also believe Dan Savage is wrong. He doesn't really know the Bible, he doesn't know history, and the thing is, historical context, he promotes promiscuity. I mean, all you have to do is read any of his articles, any of his columns. I mean, he condones sexual experimentation. He condones cheating if the wife isn't fulfilling his sexual needs. And the thing is, I mean, liberals say that there is no homosexual lifestyle, that homosexuals are just like heterosexuals. But the thing is, Dan Savage promotes a promiscuous lifestyle. I mean, just like Kim Kardashian and and there's a promiscuous lifestyle of heterosexuality as well, but it doesn't make it right. And so I'm going to play his video and comment.
Can't help it. They can't help with the anti-gay bullying. It says right there in Leviticus, it says right there in Timothy, it says right there in Romans that being gay is a problem.
Leviticus, and he goes on about Leviticus, about Shellfish, and other issues. Leviticus was rules for priests and priest families in ancient Israel, dedicated to serving God, dedicated to serving the Lord. And the condemnations were against pagan actions. The Canaanite pagans worshipped Astarte, Moloch, Baal, and a lot of these, I mean, they sacrificed babies. They had sex in rites, trying to bring about rain and help the crops, fertility rites. And there were gods and goddesses of sex, that there were male prostitutes and lesbian prostitutes. I mean, people who basically had sex not because they were gay, not because they were lesbian, but because they were cultic worshippers. Timothy and Corinthians were talking about the process of Greek male prostitution. I mean, there were a sickening practice of older Greek Roman men who hired hairless feminine boys, feminine men, as sexual playthings. And Malakoi, one of the words used for homosexuality, means effeminate prostitute. And arsenikoi basically means like man who sleeps with man, sleeps with man. So put together, it is effeminate prostitutes and the men who sleep with them. I mean, I believe that that is pretty clear. And let's watch some more of the video.
We can learn to ignore the bullshit in the Bible about gay people. The same way we have learned to ignore the bullshit in the Bible about shellfish, about slavery.
Shellfish. Anyone who has eaten at a bad restaurant knows how bad shellfish can make you sick. And if pork isn't cooked enough, you will get parasites and you can get sick and possibly die. That's why the condemnations of the food condemnations were there. Slavery? Slavery in the South are totally different than slavery as a practice in ancient Judah. Basically, you would become a slave basically to pay off your debt. And every 50 years they had a jubilee year where all debt would be cleared, all slaves would be freed. And most slaves had a 7-year contract. And they would be freed after their 7-year contract. So it did not endorse slavery. In fact, in the same verses where it condemns gay prostitution, it condemns slave traders. People who basically traded in slaves, not those who had a debt to pay, but actually those who bought and traded in slaves, like the Ishmaelites that bought Joseph, and the pagan Romans who sold slaves basically as labor and not in this debt context.
About dinner, about farming, about menstruation, about virginity, about masturbation.
The Bible only talks about masturbation once. And that is in regard to Onan in Genesis 38. Then Judah said to Onan, "Sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to raise up offspring for your brother." But Onan knew that the child would not be his. So whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from providing offspring for his brother. This is the only condemnation of masturbation in the Bible. Jesus does talk about not to lust in your heart, not to commit adultery in your heart, not to lust and pleasure yourself thinking about someone else's wife. I mean, I may be splitting hairs here, but it's very clear. If you've lusted in your heart, you've already committed adultery, taking another man's wife for your own, or sleeping with a woman when you're already married, violating that trust.
We ignore bullshit in the Bible about all sorts of things. The Bible is a radically pro-slavery document.
Again, how could the Bible be a pro-slavery document when the Israelites themselves were in bondage? I mean, almost Deuteronomy 23:15, if a slave has taken refuge with you, do not hand them over to their master. If someone is caught kidnapping a fellow Israelite and treating or selling them as a slave, the kidnapper must die. You must purge the evil from among you.
Slave owners waved Bibles over their heads during the Civil War and justified.
Just because slave owners did something doesn't say and says that the Bible justified it, doesn't make it justified. The main abolitionists were Christians. I can't watch any more of this. I can't watch my faith being bashed. And yes, the religious right are bullies. The religious right are some of the worst bullies imaginable. The religious right are direct descendants of those slave masters that whipped their slaves with the Bible. They're direct descendants of those selling indulgences. They're direct descendants of the Pharisees of Israel, of Judah, who put Christ to death because he was questioning their power. And the thing is, there are Christians who believe that the Bible condemnation was about anal rape. See Genesis 19 and Judges 19. Were about cultic prostitution and worshiping false gods. And that the Bible was condemning the practice of prostitution. Homosexuals, gays, you want these people on your side. But by attacking the religious right and attacking the Bible, you are attacking those people who might support you. By promoting promiscuity, by promoting, I hate to say it, but deviant sex. Sex outside of love, outside of commitment. You are hurting your cause. By having gay parades with leather and the S&M type thing, you are hurting your cause. The thing is, you can say that the Bible has been misused. That I would agree with you. But to call the Bible bullshit, to attack Christians, to attack their faith, you prove the religious right. You prove people like Matt Barber right. You basically let them say, see, Dan Savage? We're under attack from the homosexual lobby. They want to curtail our freedom of speech. They want to attack us. They want to purge religion from the public sphere. They are against us, so we must fight back. That is what they say. And people like Dan Savage, their attacks on Christianity, prove them right. And there's a death struggle between the activist homosexual and the religious right, each strengthening the rhetoric. And pity the poor moderate Christian, and pity the poor gay doctor, gay lawyer, just your normal average person who just wants to live in a committed relationship with the woman or man that he or she loves. Dan Savage, don't you realize the damage you're doing to your cause?